Hi, Ryan. Yeah, I am in Baldwin right now, still on my way to Freiburg, where we might see some of that severe weather rolling in. And right behind me, we're right on the side of the road. It's this beautiful scenery right now. What's not so beautiful is how the weather is feeling outside right now. It is hot, it is muggy, and it's less hazy here than it was right outside of Gorham, but still not feeling the best. Now, if you do happen to be doing an outdoor activity like camping, it is very important to stay safe, and that's exactly what people from the Maine Department of Fisheries and Wildlife are saying.
What you want to do is be ready to get, off the water or off the mountain, or, just be ready to seek shelter or seek safety if the weather changes all of a sudden. You know, Everybody who enjoys the outdoors should be looking at the forecast because we know that weather can change in a moment here.
Now, I'm showing you this one more time. It's the Maine Emergency Management Agency, and that's what experts are warning to look at if you don't have a place to go and you don't know where you're supposed to go. Now, if you are still looking for somewhere to go, you should look at that website and it will direct you immediately to your closest location. And obviously, you should have your notifications enabled for dangerous weather warnings around you. And I'll have more updates later this evening with how things are looking outside. In Baldwin, Christian Lee, News Center, Maine.
Senator Susan Collins is highlighting her efforts to bring more accountability to federal ICE agents following yesterday's deadly shooting in Biddeford. She says she urged DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen to cease ICE vehicle stops. She helped push for expanded use of body cameras on ICE agents in this year's Homeland Security funding bill and says it's unfortunate the agent involved in yesterday's shooting was not wearing one. Right now, federal and state investigations are underway into that deadly shooting.
A few details have been released so far. News Center Maine's Alex Haskell, though, has been looking into where those investigations stand right now. He joins us live in our studio with more on what happens and what happens next. Hi, Alex.
Yeah, hi, Brian. Hi, Amanda. So the Maine Attorney General's office and the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General are both investigating the shooting. Neither has answered News Center Maine's specific questions, but the AG's office has provided some additional comment. And to better understand what could happen next, we looked at what's happened in other states after ICE-involved shootings.
To pursue accountability of ICE in this case will be difficult.
Dr. Ronald Schmidt, chair of USM's Department of Political Science, says past cases show why. He points to the January ICE shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis.
The Minneapolis district attorney asked for evidence and did not receive anything for about 6 months, even after judges ordered them to produce that evidence.
Schmidt says a similar situation could play out here in Maine. He says ICE could also argue, as it has before, the agent in Biddeford cannot be prosecuted under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause. Schmidt says the clause generally protects federal officers from state prosecution for actions necessary to their jobs, but there is an exception.
Federal officers are not protected if they engage in excessive force. And this seems to at least certainly create the question of whether this was that.
What we do know about the Biddeford investigation comes from the Maine Attorney General's office, which says it is working cooperatively with federal partners, adding, "We will strive for meaningful transparency and accountability. Our primary focus in this moment is on a complete, thorough investigation." And Tuesday afternoon, all 4 members of Maine's congressional delegation sent this letter to the DHS Inspector General calling for a comprehensive, transparent, and expedited investigation.
It's still relatively early.
Plenty of time for more details about the investigations to emerge. Schmidt says because there are separate federal and state investigations, they could ultimately reach different conclusions.
Even assuming that everyone gets access to all the evidence they're supposed to get.
In its letter to the Inspector General, Maine's congressional delegation is asking for details on how the federal investigation will coordinate with state and local authorities. They're also asking investigators to focus on the timeline of events, whether agents followed operational protocols, and to release any video or other evidence as it becomes available. Now let's get over to Christian Harsa now with more on the fallout from yesterday's shooting. And Christian, you've been following protests in southern Maine today.
Yes, Alex, I have, and I'm currently in Monument Square in Portland, where a sizable crowd has gathered here for a vigil tonight. I'm going to step out so you guys can see who all has gathered here. We have many signs. There's a crew with a public speaker over there, as well as a band. But earlier today, I was also in Scarborough, where a group had gathered at the ICE facility in Scarborough there. There they had signs, chanting, singing, and they were voicing their frustrations about what happened yesterday in Biddeford. One of the people that I did speak with is a city councilor in Biddeford, and here's some of what she had to say.
I want to get ICE out. I have felt that way for a long time, and obviously even more so after this incident. So figuring out a way, obviously it's really at the federal level that happens, but there's other ways to enforce our immigration laws, and this is not the way.
No more fear! No more fear! This protest I was speaking with the organizers is planned to last at least an hour, maybe 2 hours. There are other vigils and protests planned throughout the state, including in Bangor, Lewiston, and Biddeford. In Portland, Christian Harsa, News Center, Maine.